So I would like to introduce to you Albert Groenewoud from uHoo, and we have also Philip Breukink from Cleanwave. Hello.
Hi everyone.
Hi. You are also in the studio, so it's a little bit crazy because I cannot look into your eyes, but I need to look into the camera because otherwise it's for the people tuning in, seeing a little bit different. But we're just going to do it like this, so it's great to have you here with us. Well, maybe the first question is, how would you define an optimal climate in office in terms of air quality?
Yeah, it's extremely important, and I think we have to go back to not only comfort, so we need to feel comfortable in our office, but also have to look at our senses. So there should be no smell, it should be very nice to work in your office. It will increase the productivity, reduce the sick leave, and actually the office should be, you should be feeling at home.
And what would be your focus on creating a future-proof indoor working climate?
I think it's important for people to understand how important the air quality is, what's going on in the air, and how we get infected. So what are the stuff that makes us really sick in the end, and how can we improve the air quality in such manner that we can reduce the absenteeism and create a safe environment and happy environment where everybody can work together. And yeah.
And how then can we be sure that your claims are reliable, that we are really in that safe indoor environment?
Yeah, it's always a good question. It's difficult to make those claims, but what you can do is to, first of all, measure what's going on in your office. So measure the indoor air quality with reliable sensors, providing people insight in what you are measuring, and also giving feedback what you are measuring. I think these are the most important thing. Of course, you have to have very good equipment, and I think also, Philip, you have created also, I think, reliable equipment as well.
Exactly, yeah. Our equipment we have is like proven scientifically in labs, but also in real life. It's already used in 2,500 more medical centers, but also Harvard and the Microbiologic Institute in South Korea did a lot of research about it. So scientific, everything is proven, but it's not known yet in Europe. So therefore it's really interesting to introduce it here. And I think our presentation will give us more insight in exactly what it does and how it helps.
Yes.
So what is your experience with safe and healthy air in office, free from airborne viruses?
Yeah, we have, like, for example, an actual case study done in a school before Corona, COVID-19, about a year testing with our machines in classrooms with our machines and the classrooms without our machines. And at the end of the year, in the classrooms where our machines were used, there was 50% less absenteeism. So yeah, it's very important to know what does it make people sick in the end, and how can you remove those factors in real life.
But now, well, COVID-19 seems to be on a return, so we're getting it under control. So why would I, as a landlord or as an, well, within real estate, why would I invest in such equipment?
Now you're saying the COVID-19 is on its return, but I think we will have a COVID-20 and a COVID-21. And also the viruses will remain among us. I mean, also people don't realize that the simple influenza virus infection can increase the sick leave and people get sick. So I think also in the future we have to live with these viruses, and we have to take all kind of precautions to get rid of it.
Yeah, and can we upgrade existing buildings? Because new buildings are probably easy to implement all new kind of infrastructure, but what about existing buildings?
Yeah, we can build our systems in the existing systems. We can place standalone units in the rooms, but also existing buildings we can, instead of using HEPA filters, like install our equipment in the current climate system. So yeah, it's possible.
That also counts for the new measurement equipment. We can put it everywhere. You can put it on the wall, you put it on a table. So it doesn't matter if you are in a brand new office or in an old office. Our equipment can be put anywhere.
Well, that's great.
Okay, shall we start with a presentation?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because that gives, I think, a little bit more insight what we are doing and why are we sitting here together, two different companies.
That's great.
So let me first introduce myself then, if I take the word. My name is Philip Breukink and I'm a partner at Cleanwave. Cleanwave is a family business that focuses on creating safe and healthy indoor spaces with 3 state-of-the-art disinfection technologies. Today we specifically focus on air decontamination, but before we dive in to that, we have to understand more about the influence of air quality on us humans. And luckily, we have Groenewoud here from uHoo, who can tell us everything about that.
Yeah. I am Groenewoud. I'm the Chief Medical Officer at uHoo, which is a digital health company and a manufacturer of affordable indoor air quality sensors. Our aim is to offer solutions for a safe and healthy air to all people around the globe.
So, due to Corona, we are more aware of the critical role of air in the transmission of infectious diseases. Especially now it's confirmed that COVID-19 is airborne. Only the problem of airborne diseases is much older than COVID-19. Over more than 20 years ago, NASA dealt with the problem that the crew brought microorganisms into the International Space Station. These microorganisms affect the interior of this station itself, but also the crew was constantly infecting each other. So for this problem, they found a solution that we will present today. This technology is new for Europe, and even TNO was not aware of this technology since we brought it up. Our solution is based on scientific tests and under lab conditions, like Harvard, but also almost more than 30 years of real-life factual evidence, more than 20 years in the International Space Station, and proof in more than 2,500 hospitals, schools, and fitness centers. So, if we're going back to Earth, why is indoor air quality so important? That's because we spend a lot of time in indoor environments. People spend approximately like 90% of their time indoors and breathing 12,000 liters of air per day. It's therefore very important to understand the powerful influence that indoor air quality has on our health and well-being, especially during the extraordinary time of the coronavirus pandemic. Ask yourself now, where are you? I think the majority of the people now in this event are sitting indoors. So therefore, it's very important to know, to understand what's happening in the air, how and what we can measure, and last but not least, how can we do something about that in a safe manner?
During the rapid rise in COVID-19 illnesses and deaths globally, questions are raised about the different routes of transmission for this pandemic. Inhaling small airborne droplets is probably the main route of infection. This, in addition to more widely recognized transmission via larger respiratory droplets by direct and indirect contact with infected people or contaminated surfaces. For 2 of these 3 ways, there are globally accepted measures to reduce the risk of infection. Only for reducing the risk of infection by air, there are no measures yet. While uncertainty remains regarding the relative contribution of the different transmission pathways, we argue that existing evidence is sufficiently strong to warrant engineering controls targeting airborne transmission as part of an overall strategy to limit infection risk indoor. Microorganisms such as viruses, bacteria and fungi can become airborne after being emitted into the air by infected people. These airborne microorganisms can travel on droplets which, due to their size, will not have a big distance. Large droplets do not travel far from the infected person. However, these airborne microorganisms can also travel on aerosols with a small diameter, which you can see on the right side of this slide. And this way they can travel much further and stay airborne much longer. Others can inhale such airborne microorganisms, and depending upon the load and personal resistance, they can either cope with it or not. How do we get insight in the quality of the inhaled air? The uHoo Aura measures all relevant indoor environment components, provides you with accurate information and directions on how to properly take control of the air you breathe. With the uHoo Business, you can easily transform your air quality data into actionable insights and improve the health, well-being and productivity of your team. The patent-pending Eurovirus Index utilizes artificial intelligence-powered insights based on scientific research to provide a real-time risk assessment of the coronavirus surviving and becoming transmittable in the air. The Eurovirus Index is based on a comprehensive analysis of multiple air quality factors. With this information, you would know which specific action to take to reduce your coronavirus risk.
So, what's the technique we are talking today about killing all the microorganisms in the air? The solution NASA adopted in the International Space Station is a technology called electroporation. This technology creates an electric shield where the air is pushed through, and the cell walls of microorganisms are teared open. The positive and negative plates afterwards will collect the residues. You can compare this technology with a shredder for microorganisms. Right now, we are bombarded by the ways how to purify air. Multiple companies will come and say, we have the best solution. Of course, everyone has the best solution. But most of those solutions are harmful for others. Many techniques have negative side effects and are mainly the cause of spreading microorganisms. Compared to HEPA and our technique, the other techniques are relatively new and insufficient tested. So it's very important when choosing your technique for your office of which technique you're going to use. It is important to know the difference. For example, recently has been found out that the UV is not as effective as the 99.99% they claimed. And due to ionization, negative charged particles are pushed in the air that has a negative effect on our hypothalamus. That's the part in our brain that controls our hormone balance. Next to it, it's also proven that it has a negative, it breaks off our lung tissue. So please be careful if you invest in a new technique. Just look at the techniques and look if it's also good for animals and people and plants.
So what does it mean for all the stakeholders participating in this conference? Employees who are continuously exposed to various pollutants in the air are more likely to complain, get sick, perform poorly, and miss work. Research has shown that poor indoor air quality costs companies at least $1,000 per employee per year due to productivity loss. Safe and well-maintained indoor air quality has not only benefits for the tenants and occupants of building, but also for the property owners and investors, because the market value of the property will increase also. I think, Philip, we are ready and open for questions of the audience.
All right. Thank you, guys. I might ask a couple of questions in the meantime. This is really, really interesting. I think one of the things that we touched on earlier was the efficacy. I think your research is so impressive and an amazing history lesson to learn about the astronauts, of course. So when you talked about schools, just from a personal point of view, you know, I really think one of the things that we can do, is get air filters more into schools. You know, hospitals, we have a pretty high adoption level. What are the last people who are going to get air filters in their systems? How do we push that faster forward? This is really, you know, building Futureproof. How do we bring the future faster for those who need it?
I think everyone knows that the systems of the climate systems are, it's time to invest in new systems. But due to the news, due to everything we heard, we didn't find yet the best solution, because electroporation is for Europe very new, and also for the United States. It's a new technique, and it's the safest technique there is now on Earth. So we all know we have to invest, and the importance is now because, like the RIVM in the Netherlands, they said, okay, you can only 100% outside air pushed through in the classrooms, for example, or in the office buildings to have a safe environment. But it comes with a lot of cost, because in the cold winter days, we have to heat up all that cold air, but we cannot reuse the air like we used to do it. And the HEPA filters, they will spread the disease instead of like catching it. So I think now it's the moment that we say, okay, we have to invest now, look at your own company and say, okay, how can I create that safe environment? And the ways are here now. So therefore we are here.
Okay, but I might push you just a little bit further. So can you tell me who you think the last adopters are for air filters right now? Do you have those statistics?
Sorry? I don't hear.
The early adapters or the last
The early adapters, yeah. We have 2,500 medical centers in Eastern Europe using it right now, also in Russia. And they have a different way how they look at the air. They say we have to filter out the microorganisms. While here, like HEPA filter will only catch the microorganism in the filter. Because of that, like bacteria, they have a log, they multiply outside the body. So when you push the system off, they will multiply and multiply. And when you push the system on again, it will spread all those bacteria that comes to the other side of the filter. So yeah, the early adapters at the moment, the results we have because of them is less absenteeism. So for people working in your company, if you take that percentage and you put that on the absenteeism in your company, yeah, you can reduce a lot of cost of sick leave.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wouter's back again. Do you have any questions that you want to ask? Oh, you're on now.
Okay, so I don't know which question you are, so I'm really sorry. But I think everybody claims to be to claim scientific results and tests by the NASA. What is your evidence here?
Next to YouTube video we have, where you can literally see our system hanging in the International Space Station itself. The other techniques that claim to be NASA is only used once, and then they send it back to the Earth due to the harmful effect it had on the crew. The negative particles in the air, they infected their hypothalamus and their lung tissue. So therefore, they don't use it anymore. So yeah, it is developed by NASA, but it isn't directly used by NASA. So people love to use the name, of course, because that's a great marketing tool.
But yeah, of course, everybody likes to use NASA, but I know your solution is really being implemented there in the International Space Station. But what makes this electroportation technology better than all the other alternative technologies?
Because there's no harmful side effects. All the other techniques, they have negative side effects. So they get out the microorganisms in a way, but it also has a negative side effect or being spreading. And this electroporation is just a shredder. So the microorganisms that's in the air, they go through the system, they break, they lose their function, and due to that, they can do no harm. So it's very efficient, it's very low in cost. You don't need to replace the filters. Like in the life expectancy, you don't need maintenance. It's only 10 watt per hour. So it's a system that's really only used to kill the microorganisms in the air. And the NASA, they have like these norms, and since they implemented this system, the concentration of microorganisms is below the norm they still made themselves.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. So how do you compare in terms of investment and carrying cost the two alternative technologies?
Our system, you can rent it from 50 euros a month or €1.50 euro a day. But it's a system that's if you buy it in once, it's expensive, more expensive than the alternatives. But if you look at the total cost of ownership, it's compared to the majority. So it's the difference how you look at the price. We all are people, smart people who like to invest. And if you look at the total cost of ownership, then we are the same as the majority.
Yeah. So is your technology scalable?
Yes, it is. We can cover from 120 square meters till 9,000 square meter an hour.
So you can use it in small rooms, but also in way bigger
exactly.
rooms. Yeah. And in what industry markets are you active right now? You mentioned already a little bit, but
it's in fitness center, medical centers, in offices. In the Netherlands, we are already in a few offices, and people are like the customer happiness is really high because there's less smell, there's less sickness leave. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, now a couple of questions for Albert.
Yeah.
A lot of companies are offering IAQ solutions. Why did uHoo decide to join this market?
Yeah. Next to knowing or trusting the quality of your water and food, good air quality is of paramount importance to everybody. Having said that, we noticed that, to our surprise, a distinct lack of high quality indoor air quality measurement solutions at an affordable price are there. So we decided then to set out and build a global brand of the best-in-class solutions for both home and business use. Creating this solution that combines affordable, high-quality sensors with a deep understanding of the relationship between indoor air quality and people's health and safety. That's basically why we have decided to enter this market.
Yeah, and why did you decide to measure so many more different IAQ parameters than your competitors?
Again, back to our focus, people health and safety in relation to indoor air quality is extremely important. Correctly measuring indoor air quality and giving users valuable and actionable insight meant that we needed to measure the true component of all these parameters. And you know, the composition of air is complex. And certainly with this new business offer, the Aura, which will come in June on the market, we hopefully become the standard of measuring the indoor air quality and giving all the insights which are necessary.
So from a health perspective, different people react differently to quality of indoor air. How do you attempt to account for that in your solution?
Now what we are looking at, if you are measuring the indoor air quality and you're giving insight, then that means that you are doing it for a broad audience. And but the indoor air quality means different for other people, like people with rhinitis or asthma. So what we are trying to do is also build in the future indices for people who are older or have problems with the air they breathe, so that they get more insight in what the air quality means for them.
And how did you come up with the idea to create a virus index?
Now, yeah, there is what I mentioned before. We are a strong believer that it's an airborne disease, and also these viruses need to have a kind of environment where they can survive. And so we have decided to put a lot of parameters, in this case 5 parameters, that could influence the spread of this virus. And we have ranked them and weighted them as well. And so we came up with this index. So you know exactly in real time if there is a chance that the virus is spreading in the room.
So after 4 years, uHoo created a recognizable brand and is available in Europe, Asia, where else?
Yeah.
And can you describe some of your next ambitions?
Yeah, aside from creating new solutions based upon our hardware and software platform, we very much enjoy working with international and national standard setting bodies. Examples are providing data to further build up on standards like WELL and BREEAM. But we are also working closely, for example, with the EU standards setting indoor air quality bodies. So we want to work together that there will be a standard in general for indoor air quality. I think that's the future. And then coming back also to Philip, I think also partnering with companies who can clean the air, provide you with really good air is also important.
Yeah, I think that's really the next step. I just read also some stuff here in the Netherlands about people that really know something about the viruses, and they coming back now a little bit on, we also really need to do some stuff about ventilation.
Yeah.
But then we have in the Netherlands, they call it the bouwbesluit, some regulations for buildings. And in that regulation, there's not that much talk yet about air quality. So how do you see that perspective, and what do we need to change? Well, that's really
that's one of the issues. I think a lot of attention has been paid now also in the media about these airborne diseases.
Yeah.
Also our RIVM wrote yesterday in the paper that at the end of the month they come with statements that they are believing more and more that's an airborne disease. And I think that also will help other bodies to come up with these standards. And now we're trying to present as much data, be in the publicity, talk about it, and that will help.
That will help for sure. Well, thank you very much, Philip and Albert, to talk about this massive topic about the future of air quality from space. So it was great to have you with us here in the studio.
Thank you so much for having us.